Aloha guys, shalom. Awesome, this seems to be working. We have a connection. So I am not broadcasting from the usual Sedona, Arizona. I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona tonight, and I am spending some time with my sisters, and I just felt that this was the moment. I feel like the energy has already been building so much until this point, this new moon point, this dark sky, new beginning point. You can just feel everybody's energy so intensely right now. Let me know that you can all hear me, by the way, in the comments, and let me know where you're tuning in from. So, I've been feeling everybody's energy building up to this point. Feels like everybody's ready to receive this message. Lord knows I am. I just couldn't wait any longer. It was like I could feel the collective energy calling for this. And like I said, I know I need it, so. For those of you who are new to these activations, they happen every week. They've been going on for years, every single week. So sometimes I'm in a funny new place like this. You guys have never seen this room before. Sometimes I'm in the car, sometimes I'm wherever I am when it needs to happen, but it's every week. So if you enjoy this reading and this is your first time, please come back again next week to the activation portal. And for those of you who've been here before, thanks for returning. And if you want to share this video before we begin our message, if you want to share it while it's live in your favorite groups, to your family, to your friends, to whomever you think could really use this message, could help to enhance this message, go ahead and send it to them, whomever you think could benefit. So these readings don't have much to do with the moon other than the fact that we use it as a measurement of time. Every planet has its purpose. Every timeline has its purpose, has its reflections, and the moon happens to be our way of meeting 4 times a month. I'm just shuffling the cards as everybody comes into the activation portal. Again, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. So the new moon activation is always about a new beginning. Last week we were closing up the last month's cycle. So this whole week has been spent tying things up and preparing for the new, which is here now. So go ahead and let go of whatever you've been holding on to today, this week, this month, whatever it is. Just for now, set it aside. Know that the best thing you can do right now is set that all aside and just be fully open to receive whatever comes through. Alrighty. Thank you, Archetypes, Faces of the One, in advance for this message. We're so grateful for the clarity and so ready for a new beginning. I'm going to go ahead and start with the question, what is our blind spot right now? What is our blind spot? What's the thing that's been a little hard to see? Always for a reason, right? And what's the theme of this month? What quality are we working on? Which will also be the trophy at the end of this month, depending on the work that we do. I'm going to start there. Just 2 cards. Okay, the first one is our blind spot. This is... I'm just going to hold this image up for a second. I want you guys to look at it and tell me this doesn't scream out blind spot, okay? He's looking at the cups that have spilled, but he's not seeing the one still standing. So if I had laid out these cards for you and I said, pick the one that best represents that term, blind spot, not being able to see something that's right there, you would look at the cards and not knowing anything about tarot, this art is screaming that. You would pick this one out. So this is our blind spot. 5 of Cups is about heartache, sorrow, pain. Perhaps we haven't been seeing the opportunities for fulfillment of our hearts, the opportunities for joy, for love, because we've been so busy looking at the spilled cups, looking at what's spilled. And remember, It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So although there are only 2 cups still standing, what is in those cups? It's not really so much about, you know, what's in it. It's about what you're doing with it, how it makes you feel. What is in those cups? And really you can see it as the 2 representing, those 2 cups still standing, representing those 2 forces that are eternal, that eternally move through time and space, that make up all of reality, the masculine and the feminine, the active and the receptive, body and spirit, however you want to look at their reflections. Those are the 2 that are eternal. And so there will always be, for eternity, opportunities to fill the cup back up. 5 of Cups is disappointment. It's the opposite of joy. We're stuck in disappointment and strife, regret, fears that were built out of old pain that are keeping us from seeing the opportunities that are right there, right here, right now. So this is our blind spot. What does that mean? How does that apply to us right now? What can we do about it? Simply put, we just need to see the opportunities that are standing right before us. Specifically in regard to happiness and joy and relationship, fulfillment of the heart. And if you can find that joy in a job opportunity, then yes, I'm also talking about that new job opportunity. It could be anything, anyone, any situation on this material plane that is providing you an opportunity to deepen more of that unseen stuff that comes with it as a result. The joy, the love, the fulfillment, the trust, the bonds that are built through relationships, all that stuff that's unseen. Okay, so it's like, I'm just looking at what you guys are saying, and somebody said, but why, after all this work, my cup overflows? But this is a cycle. The tarot is a cyclical story. If you reconfigure the letters T-A-R-O, tarot, right? Because the T is just circling it back again, so that's why there's a T at the end there. But if you reconfigure those 4 letters, tarot, you get rota, R-O-T-A, rotate. It's a never-ending wheel, this story, this sequence that we go through, this cycle of initiations. There's a pattern here, and so it's like, well, why this again? Well, there's a reason it's a card in the deck, because it's a fundamental theme that plays out in our lives again and again, offering us ever deeper initiations into that realm of wisdom. So even if your cup is full one moment, the next you can spill it. Do you know what I'm saying? Literally, physically. And I think you know what I'm talking about, right? But there are many ways that we spill our cup. Each moment offers us an opportunity to move deeper into the filling up of that cup, or into the taking away or spilling of that cup. Every choice that we make in thought and speech and action is either filling up the cup or it's emptying part of it. This is how energy works. It's an exchange. This is the realm of polarity that we were made of, that we live in. And so we have to be aware of that just because you have an overflowing cup 1 second doesn't mean you should take it for granted. There's always more that we could fill the cup up, because we're meant to always expand the vessel itself. You are the vessel for those waters of life. And so we need to keep expanding so that we can keep filling up that cup more and more. All right, so and this is like squeezing out right now, I'm seeing this. Especially when you feel like, but my cup has been overflowing. That's when you got to look closer. That's that blind spot that I'm talking about. Especially when we think we got this down. Especially when you think you got this. When you think all of a sudden you're a pro. Ding, ding, ding. That should be your little flag activating your awareness to remember, oh, there's a new level. There's always a next level. Stay humble. Stay humble. Especially when I think I'm accessing every single opportunity to fill up my cup and everyone's cup. That's when I should really check myself and be like, wait, hold on, am I really doing that? Are these experiences where I think I'm filling up the cup really filling up the cup? Is this really a sustainable essence that I'm pouring into this cup? Where is the intention coming from when you fill those cups? Because remember, you guys, the 9 of Cups, which remember, this is all a sequence, so you don't want to just look at the card that's pulled. You want to think of the ones before and after. You want to think of the suit that's pulled and what each card within that suit represents, because this just tells you the part you're at right now. But looking ahead helps the energy to move forward and progress. I talk about this in my book too. If you want to understand this unique, more esoteric way of reading tarot, it's all in my book. Okay, so looking forward to the Nine of Cups, it looks like all the cups behind the man, they look like trophies, and he's got his arms crossed, okay? And the 9 is the ending. We're coming to the ending. The 10 is an end and begin again. So the 9s in every suit are representing a level of completion. So when we're talking about the 9 of Cups, we're representing, it's representing a level of completion within the heart, within the realm of emotional fulfillment. So think about that, okay? And the duality of that card, depending on where you're at, is either you are looking at your trophies or your accomplishments of the heart and emotions and relationship, and you're grateful. Or you're looking at all of those accomplishments and you're boastful. And there's a completely different frequency there. You're either on one side of the spectrum or the other. So remember that right now before we even get to the end of this lesson, okay? Because we're still at the 5, we're not at the 9. We're still immersed in the experience. So how can we now prepare so that by the time we get to the end or the 9 within this particular cycle right now before it begins all over again, how can we right now prepare for that and say, let me make sure I'm seeking those experiences for fulfillment that are also honoring like who I am in my authentic nature, that are honoring my integrity, that are allowing me to practice and express my integrity and authenticity and vulnerability and transparency and all those beautiful things. How can I make sure that that even in the times where it's hard and I'm struggling and I think that my cup is not full, how can I see the opportunities around me to fill it up immediately, right then, right there? Thinking about all the things I'm grateful for, which just clean water, clean air, blessings right there. Clean water, clean air, blessings right there. Right there, right here now. How can I think about my connection to Source and really sink into that love of spiritual connection, like that divine romance? How can I tap into that and allow that to carry me? Because that is something that's eternal. That is a reliable source for you to lean into, for you to connect to when you tell yourself, my cup isn't full, because it always is. Sometimes we think it's not, or we tell ourselves it's not, and that's okay too, so long as we can be aware of those moments and help ourselves, activate that inner parental guidance system and walk ourselves through that process and get ourselves back to a state of gratitude and get ourselves back into a state of knowing that our cup is always overflowing. Connect to Source, direct connect. That can never be taken from you, and it will always remind you that your cup is full right here, right now. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you think you're at. You think your cup has been overflowing or you think it hasn't been. There is an overflowing cup. There is an eternal spring within each one of us. It's always there. So what do you need to do to remember it? How can you see the opportunities all around you that are calling you to fill your cup back up? Okay, so make sure that you're not making decisions out of disappointment. So for example, you could be disappointed about certain things that you wanted that you didn't get, right? And so you start to seek that other opportunity, but you don't actually seek the right ones. Like, for example, you might think, oh, I'm moving on and I'm gonna go get this other opportunity for fulfillment. But if you carry that grief and you carry that sorrow and that pain and that resentment or whatever comes with that heartache that just happened, you're just going to recreate that all over again. So you have to be sure, like, you don't want to just say, oh, why am I crying over this? Let me go get that. You want to be like, oh, why am I crying over this? Oh, let me really sit with this for a moment. I'm not going to give you a timeline because time doesn't really exist. It's all up to you and your belief and your process. It's really all about connecting with yourself and developing the intuition. So you can't skip this process. Okay, so what this wants to look like moving forward is you notice where maybe you're stuck on grieving and you finally take accountability and create a strategy, get the help that you need to move forward. Or you examine how, oh shit, I thought I was moving forward, but I realize the new opportunities I'm seeking, I'm still carrying spite. I'm still carrying hate. I'm still carrying sorrow or grief, and I don't want to start a new relationship or a new job or a new project. Any of that without putting my best foot forward, without having done the proper, strategic grieving, because there's a process to grief. There's a process to letting go, and it's beautiful, and it can't be skipped. All the juice is there. All the gold is there. You don't want to skip that anyway. That would be foolish. So the deepest way that you can access this initiation, okay, in order to get the most of this part of the story that we're at, it's really important to go through that grieving process and also to notice when when your process is not effective, to notice maybe you need to refine your strategy for going through heartache, grief, or pain. Okay? And if you feel you've been doing really good at that, then good for you. It's time to level up, though. It's always time to level up. There's always a next level to reach. So how can you see better opportunities? Not necessarily more opportunities, but how can you see maybe a deeper way of looking at the opportunities you're already involved with? How can you further imbue your purpose and sanctify those opportunities? And if you can't get rid of them, just get rid of them and go to new ones, okay? Or how can you see better opportunities, ones that, you know, are actually more in alignment with your soul, and it's more of an easy process to imbue your purpose into. So it's time to make sure that we're seeking the right opportunities, that we're even seeking, that we're not stuck. First of all, if you're stuck, get unstuck. And then once you're unstuck, to make sure that you're starting each new opportunity off from a truly healed space, because you can't lie to yourself. Okay, that's just the first card, and that again was our blind spot. The second card is what we're doing this for. Why are we doing this? Why do we need to move on from the heartache and redirect our energy into proper channels for deeper fulfillment? I mean, because coming out of my mouth, it sounds so silly. Like, why do we need to do that? For an infinite amount of reasons, right? So that we could live our lives, so that we could be happy and joyful, so that the nervous system of the collective actually can relax, so that we can really heal as a whole, you know? There's so many reasons why why we're facing this work. And really, I could say the same for any card that were to come up. If any card of the tarot was pulled right there, I would say the same. Like, why we need to do it, it's obvious, because it's a part of the path. Tarot means royal path. If a card is coming up, it's for a reason. Period. So let's move on, though. What is the access point? What's the primary focus of why we're doing this right now? In regard to this cycle, this month, what is the trophy we're going to hopefully take away at the end of the month, so that we have a vision to keep as our intention and to hold as our why, you know, our desire, why we're doing this, our motivation. Two of Swords. This archetype has been coming up a lot in conversation with friends, family, clients. So just check it out for a second, take it in. Water is always representing the subconscious and contemplation. The mountains are way back there. Like, eventually we'll get there, though, you know, to the land. But right now it's about the water, going deep into the subconscious. Eventually we'll take that to the surface, and we'll do what we need to do with whatever we gather there. But for now, we're sitting by the water. Okay, and it's all white, showing that we need to get to that place. So let me start here. There's a blindfold. Okay, there's the two swords crossing. This is an image of challenge and indecision. Swords are the suit of challenges. The blindfold is showing unbiased, first of all. We see that oftentimes in the archetype of Lady Justice. I actually drew a blindfold on my Justice card in my Rider-Waite deck. You might want to do that too, because the truth is unbiased. It's an important symbol. So anyway, here it is again, okay? And it's also showing this crossroads. We're in the middle of this challenge. It's very challenging, and I'm undecided. Undecided. There's also all this white and the white shoes, because it's showing that we need to get to this place of clarity in order to make a decision. In order to get through the hardest part of the challenge, like X marks the spot, right? Like crisscross those swords, that's the spot, the challenge point, the indecision. That once we get past that point, we'll either go this way or that, and we'll be on our path. But right now we're at this crossroads, and it has to do with a particular challenge, okay? This is not talking about just anything. It's talking about something that's been really challenging you in your life. And yes, this is a collective reading, but the way that we get to the collective is through our personal stuff. So how can you see perhaps there's a challenging time in your life involving an important decision you have to make about that challenge? And how can you see that's reflected in the collective? How can you see that the decision you're going to make right now is going to affect us all? Because every little thing we do, every blink, affects the entirety of creation. So how can you allow that weight to be a pressure? Yes, but in the best way, in a way that pushes you to make the decision you know you need to make in order to pursue the right opportunities. So indecision. We're doing this work. We're examining the opportunities that we've said yes to, that we've said no to, that the ones we should be saying yes to, the ones we should be saying no to. Going through that process, you know, analyzing all the opportunities in our lives right now. And asking ourselves, how can we refine the ones we're in? Or how can we start letting go of the ones that are not serving? And how can we free up that energy to maybe say yes to ones that have been right under our nose? Or create the space for a new one to come. You don't need to jump into another situation immediately. You don't need to always seek, seek, seek. You can be happy here now. In fact, all of that seeking comes back to this truth, that we can be, that we are already whole here now. Okay, so we're reviewing our opportunities and making sure that our heart is invested in the right ones. And it's funny because they're showing me something. They're showing me these cards flipped, right? And I can see the different configurations in my mind. What I'm seeing is not necessarily what I'm saying. I tried to translate for you guys, but I'm seeing basically like a diagram of these different archetypes, right? And they're showing me the interplay of these energies. And because really the tarot is directionless. It's not going forward or backward. It's like you can take the pieces out and place them wherever, and the many are within each one. So when you learn to really see the truth in the tarot cards, it opens up a whole new world, right? So anyway, with that said, if we switch these around and we got this one first, it might at first appear to make more sense, right? Like, well, once we make the decisions that we need to make and get through the challenges and cut the cords and choose a path, then we'll know what opportunities to align with. Then we'll know, you know, what our heart should invest in. But it's not that way. The decisions become easier and the challenge becomes easier to navigate when our heart is going in the right direction, when we are giving and receiving from heart space, when we're making sure that we're being very intentional with where we're investing our heart, where we're investing our time, we're investing our energy. Okay, so the more we get our heart right, the more we reattune our heart's compass, you know, then the more we will effortlessly embody the right choices. The more we will effortlessly make decisions without second guessing, without doubting, without being frustrated that I just don't know what to do, I just don't know. That won't happen anymore. When your heart is redirected to where it really, 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 truly, deeply, truly wants to be, then the decisions become a lot easier. Okay, so it's like start with the heart, start with the heart, start with the heart. You can think about it like this. In the court cards of the tarot, you have first the queen and then the king. It's because first we need to get to the heart of the situation. And from there, the heart rises up to the crown of the king, and then it's the crowned heart, and we can act on those, you know, those emotions, those feelings once we make sense of them. But right now, it's about heart. Start with the heart. Get your heart back into a place where it's purely seeking what it came here to seek, which is nothing that has to do with anything self-serving, selfish, short-term, you know. The heart wants sustainable, eternal love, light. That's what the heart wants, because the heart is like the Ark of the Covenant, and the covenant is truth, is love, is light, and is eternal. And so anything you do in that line of work, for the good man, for the good woman, for the good one, anything you do for the Most High in that way lives in your heart forever and lives in the one heart forever. And when your heart, this human heart in this incarnation, and then everything around it, right? Because your heart is like the center and everything else is the field. So like all of your bodies that surround this heart, which is the Ark of the Covenant within, all those bodies, when you take them and you direct them with your conscious awareness, your conscious will, and you direct those energies in alignment with nature and the universe, universal truth, not just natural law, but universal law, right? When you take your being, all parts of it, and direct it with that rhythm of the one, all of your decisions become clear and effortless and empowered and supported by all of creation. The way the birds sing, the way the winds blow, the way the stars twinkle, every little thing becomes a reflection of yourself. It already is. The only difference is your awareness of that and your conscious participation and your fiery will to align yourself with it. It's like a kid, right? When you're a good parent, you know you don't want to just give the kid, you don't want to just do the thing for them. You want them to do it themselves, because that sense of empowerment and connection and awareness is everything. Don't just fish for the man, right? Teach him how to fish. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. So, again, make sure that your heart is just fully in what you're doing, that your heart is giving to something that is going to be long lasting, that's going to feed what is eternal, which is love and light. Something that's going to benefit the next generations, not just some small benefit in this life that's going to fade away in the blink of an eye. The cards disappeared for a moment. So remember, when you get your heart into the proper opportunities, start with the heart, feel, then everything else falls into place. You know what to do. You look at the stars, you feel the wind, the breeze on your neck, and all of it, everything, becomes a confirmation of the truth of who you are, not the false versions, the many versions that you've created out of ego, out of pain, out of hurt, out of the need for power or, money or whatever, out of the need for love. Because if you really knew what we are, and you knew what you are, and you knew that you're loved, you'd never feel the need or the want, right? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This is a very deeply metaphysical concept. Okay, so when you really invest your heart in the right things, it puts your being into harmony with nature and the universe, and all of your decisions become very clear, because it becomes reflected all around you in organic affirmation. So get your heart right, let your heart go where it wants to go, and then watch and observe the heart and learn from it, and you will know what decisions to make in time. And if you feel frustrated right now, you guys, if you feel like you're really here and you don't know what decision to make, you feel like you're struggling with a specific challenge, you don't know where to go from here, don't push it. Don't push it. It's like, there's so many examples I could give about this. You don't want to push. In nature, nothing's rushing. It just effortlessly flows. And that's how it should be with decisions as well. That's why there's literally a tarot card for it. Because we're not always meant to be making decisions. And if you feel like, oh my God, I just can't decide yet, you should really reflect on that. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, is it time to know? No. If you're frustrated, then obviously that's not going to serve you. So remember this card, because it's one within the deck for a very important reason, because we do come to this point again and again on the path. If you don't know and you're getting frustrated over it, let it go. And know that you're meant to use all of your energy, so take that power back from the frustration of not knowing. Take it back and be fully present with the experience, because what's happening is the universe is telling you you're not ready to know. You're still gathering data so that you can later analyze and come to the best level of knowing. So it's very foolish for you to sit here and pout about how you don't know yet. That's ridiculous. You see what I'm saying? So you need to have the self-dialogue in here and in here. You need to be able to walk yourself through that gently and compassionately, but also with purpose and guide into action, guide yourself toward a conscious action. Don't just sit with it. Then when you know what to do with it, do it. Okay. So when you don't know, don't push it. Don't force yourself. Laugh at yourself a little, giggle. It's okay. Be like, oh, chill out, yo. We're going to get there. But if I'm not meant to know right now, whoops, that should be my sign. I need to get back to the present moment. Stop being anxious, because that's putting me in the future. That's not the present. Stop thinking about past failures, because then I'm, of course, again, not in the present. But instead, be here now. Be here now and understand that it's literally a joke. It's totally futile for me to think about why I just can't make a decision. What is that going to do for you? It's going to produce more frustration. So let that be your sign to come back to presence. and be fully immersed in your experience. Okay, it's like a child. We go through these unconscious stages as children, not fully aware of the truth, so that we can be innocent and be naive and be a little ignorant in that time, so that we could at least be ourselves without too much programming and molding. Although in this rapidly transforming world, a lot of that happens earlier and earlier. But I'm saying, as a kid, we're more just in our instinctive nature, right? You hear that as kids, you're more your moon sign than your sun, right? That depends on what system you're looking at. But what that's saying is, as kids, we're more natural, we flow, we go with our instincts. We're not as indoctrinated yet, period, right? And so later, as we grow, we have all these opportunities for inner child healing and looking back on all of the mistakes or the struggles or the challenges or the bullshit that we went through, but it's gold. We have the opportunity to alchemize that and turn it into gold. Had we not been free to be just who we were as naive kids, you know, we would never have those innocent experiences to honestly reflect on who we really are. Okay, because if we were having to be somebody else in those moments, we would never get a chance to observe what's really in there. Like, we would keep it all in and not have a chance to at least see, to have that raw material to work with, to then mold. We wouldn't even have a proper foundation or starting point. So that is the same point with this card, you guys. If you don't know yet, you're not meant to know. Don't mess with the program. Sink back into presence and be fully immersed in your experience, or you may miss out on important details. And then what you're doing is manifesting your fear of making a shitty decision. Yes, because every moment you spent worrying about it was a moment you took your awareness away from what could have been fully the process of receiving data from your environment by being present in your experience. Every moment you spend worrying is a little bit of energy that you take away from what could have added to the pool of confidence, so that when the decision comes, you're ready to make it. Okay? It's like you got to be here and take in as many details and be present and observe, so that you can have as many opportunities for learning as possible. So when you do come to that point of decision making, which you will know, it's always clear. When you get there, you'll be so grateful that you didn't spend time worrying about why you gotta make a decision. And you'll be so grateful that you stayed present and gathered as much data as you could, stayed super sharp and aware and trusting in the plan. And you, being that cool, calm, and collected, allowed you to be the most receptive. And then you make the best decision. So don't try to force a decision. Just look at where your heart is going. Is it sad? Is it happy? Why? And how can you get your heart moving in the direction of its joy, but attach it to the joy of the one, so that as you seek that joy, you're also, your thoughts, words, and actions are not only seeking your own personal joy, but our joy. Thus, that mission becomes supported by all of life, because this is the intelligent divine design, y'all. Okay, so redirect your heart, and if it still wants to do what it's doing, that's fine. Just make sure your heart and mind are aligned, so spirit can come in and be imbued into your process of whatever you're doing. And once you get your heart energy going into the proper channels, once you get your heart focused on the right mission, then you'll make all the decisions you need to make in the perfect timing. Okay, I just want to see who's the ally right now. I don't have my my Hebrew deck, and before I pull, I'm just going to shuffle a little bit here. I wanted to ask, does anybody have a Hebrew deck with them right now? Because I know a bunch of you actually purchased Hebrew decks because y'all were tired of waiting for me to make you a custom one. So does anybody have a Hebrew deck? If you are watching this live right now and you have one, let me know. I'm just going to wait a few seconds here and give the opportunity for somebody to speak up and actually pull a Hebrew letter for us. I think there's a way that you can ask to come into the live. So I'll just give a little moment here to see if anybody wants to do that. Who has a Hebrew deck? And if you're like, dang, I have one, but I don't have it on me right now, just reach out. Maybe next time we can do something cool like that. Just give another moment, see if anybody wants to pop in with a Hebrew letter. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and pull a tarot card. Or how about this? Who wants to pull up the Hebrew alphabet on their device, on another device, other than the one you're watching on, of course, and come on live and hold it up and, you know, like cover your eyes and point and let us all see on the camera. Does anybody want to go live and do that? Okay, so like ask to go live. Okay, at the bottom of the screen, there's some options there, and you can ask to join. Who wants to do it? Okay, so Shelby, see if I can get you to go. Give me one sec. I don't think I can do it. If you can request. Yeah, I don't see the option. Okay, so the next person who gives me Hebrew letter in here, I'm just going to choose that one. So whoever wants to do it, I'm going to choose the first one. In fact, no, I'm just going to close my eyes. And when I open my eyes, the first Hebrew letter I see in the comments, I'm going to use. But if you choose a letter, please do it by pulling up the whole chart. The point is all the letters have to be present. So pull up the chart, whether it's on another device or if you have it in a book, and put your finger to a letter, any Hebrew letter, and then tell me the letter. Just giving a moment. Okay, so somebody said E. That's not a Hebrew letter. Okay, Yud. We'll go with Yud. That's the first actual Hebrew letter I'm seeing. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Shelby. So we have the letter Yud, and that's actually perfect. And for those of you who follow these videos, you actually may know a little bit about the Yud already because we've spoken about the Yud before. The Yud is the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, or Aleph Bet. Okay, so it represents the number 10. And as you know, the number 10 in the deck of the tarot is the wheel. So it's connected to Arcanum 10, the wheel. And the Yud, every Hebrew letter has a pictorial symbol or hieroglyphic that's associated with it. The Yud is the hand. And whatever symbol we're talking about, we're talking about it in reference to the divine. So it's the hand of the divine, the hand of God, Hashem, Allah, whatever you want to call it, okay? The divine hand. So when you put together that picture of the hand and with the associated tarot card of the wheel, it's like a hand taking the wheel of fortune, the wheel of fate. Okay, so it's all about taking it. So if this is the ally, what does that mean? We have to take the wheel. We have to see ourselves in this archetype. We have to see ourselves in what our position truly is here within this space-time reality. While we are a part of this greater wheel, we also have the ability to take the wheel within that experience. Okay, so it's like this is a vision of taking the opportunity to be a conscious participant in your fate. And it's also about new beginning. It's about new beginning, knowing that you have the wheel in your hands. You can turn it this way or that. And neither way is good or bad because it has both within it. All directions have within it all things, okay? All the directions live within each direction because there's only one. Truly, there's only one. Okay, this space-time reality is an illusion created for us to expand and evolve and grow. However, the truth is only one. The truth is only one. So it doesn't even matter what the details are along the path so much as what they represent, what they are symbols of. And are those symbols revealing progression? Okay, so these are things you want to look at on your path. It doesn't really matter where you go, but it does matter where you go. Okay, it's all about internally. Where am I at on my path, and am I progressing? Because that will show you whether or not you're headed in the right direction. You're either headed in the right direction or you're not. And even when you're not, you eventually get back there because you transmute all of the things that you did along that not right path, and you make them into something good later. That's the law. That's how things work. So you certainly don't need to be afraid of taking the wheel, because it doesn't really matter on the outside which way you're going so much as it matters on the inside and how you are responding to those things that are coming at you on the outside, what you're doing with them, that you're making the most of them, that you're squeezing the lessons out of them. So if that is in regard to this reading right now, as our ally, the Yud being the ally, it's saying take the wheel. Know that you have to take the wheel. No one can do this process for you. No one can make the decisions for you. No one can tell you what opportunities are right for you to invest your heart in. Only you can do that. So the Yud being our ally is really saying to us, like, be aware of where you maybe are giving up your power. Where can you take your power back and take accountability back? And just maybe some of us, all we need is like a little gentle reminder, like an affirmation to repeat when you wake up in the morning or something, you know, I'm the one making the decisions for my life, you know? And maybe when you say that, you start to realize, oh shit, maybe I haven't been feeling that empowered. Maybe like in a subtle way, I have been asking other people, what should I do? Who should I be? And maybe not flat out like that, although maybe flat out like that. Maybe you're more indirectly giving someone else the power to define who you are. Maybe you're indirectly asking someone else to tell you what to do or which way to go. Even though, especially when we don't think that's happening, especially when we think we're in our power. Remember, that's always the contradiction. We have to look for where we can be more in our power, for where we can really affirm that we are the conscious creators of our own reality, that our decisions are what pave the way, that pave the path for us and no one else, that no one can tell me where to put my love into. And the more you sink into that, the more you may become aware of little subtle ways that you've been tricking yourself and allowing yourself to leave those important decisions up to someone else. Even in your own head, right? Like you could be giving up your power even just in your own head. Like you don't even have to actually ask someone like, hey, what should I do with my life? But in your head, you're so thinking about everybody else. Maybe you're fawning, maybe you're people pleasing, and all in your mind throughout your decision-making processes throughout the day, because we're always making decisions each moment. You're making decisions based on what someone else is going to think or what someone else is going to feel. And little by little, you start to live your entire life in this way based on how someone else is going to feel or what they're going to think. Okay? So the wheel being our ally is telling us, no, whoa, take that back. And all you need to do is affirm and fill yourself with the knowing that it is you who is sowing these seeds. Take your power back. It's okay that you've been giving it up. It literally doesn't matter. You have everything you need right here, right now. It doesn't even take work to get back there. You're here now. And just remember, in your mind, just come back there. And all you need to do is affirm. Tell yourself, speak to yourself. It's okay. It's not weird. In your head, even out loud, whatever you want to do, okay? Speak to yourself. Maybe speak to your other selves who are your friends and family, who are other yous. And have this dialogue and conversation. Somebody who you feel safe with and ask, say, you know, no, tell them, you know, I'm in my power. Like, can you see me in that light? Can you pray for me in that light? Can you see me making my own decisions? Can you support me making my own decisions? And what's more is looking at people in your life and asking if the relationships in your life right now are supporting you making your own decisions and being in your own power, or are they not? Because there may or may not be relationships in your life right now that are, so there are relationships in your life right now, they're either supporting you being the sovereign being, making your own decisions, taking that wheel and investing your heart in the right relationships and in the right projects, or there are people who are just not. So really look at that as well. Like, where are you giving up your power, and where are people maybe even encouraging that, like taking it, you know? Or where are there people who have been trying to encourage you to be in your own power? Like, I can't tell you, honey, what to do for yourself, okay? Those are the people that you really want to be around right now. People who support you making your own decisions. People who don't try to influence you too much to where you're making a decision that's not even based on your own life and yourself and your own desires and your own heart, but really it's based on theirs. This is some deep stuff, you guys, okay? So I don't think that I need to really go any deeper than this. Thank you for pulling the Yud card as our ally. I'm sorry I don't have my Hebrew cards with me tonight, but I just love it. I think that's an awesome interaction. I look forward to doing more stuff like that with you guys. So remember, the work this week as we step into the new moon is this is considering the whole month, okay? Because the new moon is the seed of the fruit to come. So this is like a big one right here. There's a lot of powerful energy right now for this new moon. It's saying, get your heart right. Invest your energies where it's really going to be worth it, in a way that it's worth it beyond this life, beyond this body, in a way that's eternally sustainable, in a way that cultivates love and light and truth. And as you do it, the decisions will be made. So let that go. Stop trying so hard to make a decision. Thank you so much for being present with me in this portal, you guys. We're all doing this work together and hopefully supporting each other through it, you know, with the best intentions. And it's up to each one of us to carry those intentions. So thank you for doing that. I see you. And for those of you who are not yet a part of the private group, The Royal Path, please join. That's where we gather in between activations and talk and share. And there's been some pretty cool shares in there this past week. I really appreciate the community of that group. It's growing and growing. And then I have another private group that I'll be posting in at the end of the week. That group is also growing in a really beautiful way. It's called Shabbat Crew, Shabbat. And it's a group where we discuss Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, and everybody just kind of aligns with the same one message every Friday night for Shabbat. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, child, whatever, teenager, whoever you are, whole families can join in this work. I post the current Torah story every week, like before Shabbat begins, so you can prepare. And I talk about what the message really is, get straight to the point, and then I share some of my favorite resources and articles and how to tap into that wisdom. And it's been a really awesome time with you guys in there. Thank you. And so many cool messages this week from people who've been taking the course. Those have been really awesome to wake up to, seeing all of your messages. You're enjoying the course, and that course was done a year and a half ago, actually. So it's really cool to see that the magic lives on through that course, and that people are still getting so much out of these videos. Each class is like an hour to an hour and a half long, and it's on all of the trump cards. So there's a lot of information on the occult symbolism within each card, which is quite different than my book. The book kind of takes you down a different road with the tarot. I think they go quite nicely together. So if this is something you're interested in, please reach out to me. You can email me at bexmagic@gmail.com, BEXMAGICK@gmail.com, or just private message me here. I'm also on YouTube and Instagram, Rebecca Magic, just as it's spelled here. Reach out if you want to take your tarot journey deeper. And remember, the way that I teach it is I show that tarot is not just a deck of cards that you use for divination. Tarot is the royal path, and it's the path of life, and these symbols are a summary of all of the symbols you see around and within you. They're just a summary, a system that we can tap into to be able to access the rest. All those symbols that exist within and without. So this is a Kabbalistic approach to tarot. Again, my books, Royal Path 1 and 2, talk about this. I'm happy to do one-on-one lessons. I am doing lots of one-on-one readings at this time. So if you want to book a reading, please go ahead and reach out, and I would be happy to connect with you. Thank you again for sitting here with me. I so look forward to this every week. So cool to see the same people coming back and new faces, new light being woven into this circle. Thank you. See you soon, guys. Shalom.